Hello, thank you so much for joining me. And as ever, it's much appreciated. Something I don't usually do, but if you're joining for the first time or if you've popped in more than once, do press that subscribe button. There's a lovely bunch of people around, so do join us. Okay, so I want to talk about guilt. And I don't mean somebody being found guilty of a crime. The judge with their wig and the gavel. Guilty. No, guilt that we carry around with us, not related to any crime. Though the carrying of the guilt is a crime to ourselves, probably, because it can take away from contentment, from happiness. It's something that my lovely friend and myself talk about on a regular basis. We speak every single day. She is not a near neighbour, but we phone every day. And it's not just 5 or 10 minutes. Very often it goes on and on. And guilt often comes up because it's something that we both feel. We both led very, very busy professional lives. And since retirement and putting down of the diary that ruled our lives and the rushing from A to B and the mountains of paperwork that had to be completed, meetings and more meetings, more meetings. Actually, retirement is, whoa, a brick wall that you hit unless you've prepared yourself. And I'd done my counsellor training, my hypnotherapy training, so that I could do things afterwards to keep me going. But I still feel guilty if I get to the middle of an afternoon and I think, do you know, I've had enough, and just stop whatever I'm doing, put the kettle on and do whatever I fancy doing. And it still feels wrong. It feels that I should be carrying on, doing things, achieving things other than achieving my health, my well-being, especially my mental well-being. You can't separate it from the physical though, so a nice walk outside sorts both out. But the guilt that we carry, I have quite a few things about which I feel guilty. And behind me, sadly with the light reflecting off it, and I tried to hike it out off its hook, but it's firmly placed on. It's actually an iris, two iris, watercolour with black ink outline that my father painted in 1947. So it's very, very precious to me. And it reminds me of him very much. And it reminds me quite often how much I miss him. But I have stopped myself feeling guilty that he died on his own. He died in his sleep. So I could not have been there with him. And it took me a long time to talk myself round to that. But I could have. You'd tried to get him to come and live here, and he didn't want to. He wanted to be near his church, so that was a non-starter. But my mum is another matter. My mum had a stroke and was rushed into hospital. just a couple of days after my father-in-law had died. So it was a very, very fraught and anxious time. And my ex-husband had to go off to his father's home, and I followed in the car after the ambulance with my father and my mum in. And they said in the hospital that she'd had a slight stroke. Go home, get some sleep, and come back in the morning. And to this day, I regret that, probably because I was exhausted with having spent the day sorting things around my father-in-law's demise, that I accepted that. I went home and I just went straight to bed. And within half an hour, there was a phone call. Would we go back to the hospital? And of course, my mum had already died. That, to this day, I regret that I hadn't said, no, I'm stopping. I'm staying with my mother. Whether they would have let me is another matter. But there's nothing I can do about it. I loved my mum. I did everything that I could for her. I included both my mum and dad in things. So why this guilt? Why do we punish ourselves for things over which we had no control, over which we now certainly have no control? The only control that we have is how we remember it, how we think about it. And it's that mindset that I've largely changed, but every now and then, if I'm feeling a bit low, it will ping in and the should-haves come into play. So I set them aside. You did everything that you could. So I'm wondering if it's a female thing. I've never discussed it with men. I've only ever discussed it with my female friends. Do you have guilt? Not over having, maybe as a kid, pinched some toffees from a sweet shop or something, but to do with relationships. And I have to say, one I really can't get my head around is when my ex-husband disappeared, he said and wrote that he could not have asked for a better wife or a better mother for his sons. So why did I feel so guilty? I don't know. And it's only on reflection that I thought, was that to maybe make him feel less guilty? I don't know. But all it did was set question marks galore around my mind. But that has been set aside too. So be careful with the words that you use. And you don't know, those words that you think are positive and reassuring. Do you know, she was a great wife and a great mother, but I've left her. Okay. At that note, I'm going to say cheerio for now before I start rabbiting on some more. You take care. And if you're feeling guilty, make the best efforts that you can not to. Because if it's in the past, it's done, dusted. You can't change it. The only thing you can change is how you remember it. So take care for now, and always. I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now. Bye.